may sound like there is a minor issue. A debate over British spelling inside the federal government has quickly become a conversation about Canadian identity itself.
Correspondence released through Access to Information shows Canadians are divided over Ottawa's apparent preference for British spellings in official documents. You might recall there was an article, a report, I think it was back in December or November, where Carney had ordered the federal government to go to the British spellings for all documents.
Right.
Now, some see it as distinguishing Canada from the United States. While language experts, and this one surprised me, Eddie, while language experts argue Canada already has its own recognized spelling, and conventions that should remain the standard. So why does it all matter, right? Well, language reflects identity. We just had a discussion about that related to politics. Even seemingly small changes can influence how Canadians define themselves. I never really stopped to think about it. Is adopting more British spelling a stronger expression of a Canadian identity? Well, wait a minute. How does adopting British spelling give a stronger expression of Canadian identity? Think about that for a moment. I don't feel any connection, and I don't care what the monarchists say, because to me, we need to get rid of the monarchy. The sooner the better.
Right.
I don't feel any connection to Britain as far as any kind of identity is concerned. And, and I said it, a moment ago, to me, though, that's part of our Canadian identity, really, when you get right down to it. And the other key part of it, sorry. So, does Canada already have its own accepted English standard worth protecting? I don't know if we have a standard yet. I think we're diversified in pulling in a few things, but just natural progression of conversation and spelling of words and the pronunciation of words has changed and is changing every year. And there are words being added to the old dictionaries.
Webster, yeah.
That Webster and Oxford, would never, even 5 years ago, have been considered because they were looked upon as slang.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Do we have a Canadian identity and culture? I think one would argue absolutely. Do we have a dictionary that's Canadiana, if you want to call it? I don't think so. Does our identity harbor on how we spell the words color, labor, harbor? I don't think so. Did Prime Minister Carney push towards using British grammar and spelling? Possibly. Did we start out this way 50, 100, 200 years ago in using British grammar and spelling? Yes, we did. So, when I was going to school here in Quebec, yes, we learned French, and of course we had English classes and whatever else. I was in an English school. I distinctly recall being taught both ways. You can spell the word labor two ways. You can spell the word harbor two ways. But this is the way we would prefer you to spell it, which ended up the British style, the OURs, neighbor or neighbor, BOUR, right? And during my career, I always used the British grammar that was taught to me, recognizing that the OR is American grammar. So it was something I was taught. I decided to stay with that way before all this crap in the United States, where we have our opinions about what's going on there. I still continue using the British spelling, uh, and I feel very comfortable with it. Does that make me Canadian? I don't know. Does that make me British? I don't think so. Does that make me anti-American? No. It's the way I was taught in school. And it's not Canadian. It's just the way we were raised culturally and what our education system taught us. And interestingly enough, Gary, how were you taught to spell those words? Neighbor, B-O-R or B-O-U-R when you went to school?
O-U-R.
O-U-R? Yeah,
O-U-R.
yeah. Does that make it Canadian? I don't think so. It's just the
No,
English language we were taught, right? So what's all the
exactly.
brouhaha with Carney bringing up his preference and the recent media coverage about this whole language debate?
And language experts weighing in on it. I
Yeah,
I don't know. With everything else that's going on right now, who cares? And if I'm typing and
exactly.
there's an autocorrect on the keyboard and it comes up OR, I don't care.
Yeah,
If it comes up OUR, I still don't care. If I'm typing it, sometimes I type OR and other times I type OUR. It just
right.
depends, I guess, on my mood or,
Your mindset. Yeah.
at that particular point in time. And is our economy falling apart because of it? No.
Good. Exactly.
Are people going hungry because of this? No. Well, then what's the problem?
Hmm.
And as far as I understand it, Carney only directed that from here on use the British spellings, not going back and redoing everything.
Hmm.
That'd be crazy,
Right.
totally crazy. But if that's his preference, like when I was typing a news story for On Air, I had a certain preference for the way I did it and the way it looked, so that it was easier to put it into the system. And then when you brought it up on the screen when you're on air, boom, it just flowed.
Hmm.
Now, I had some people who were taught something different and they, pushed back. And I just kept pushing it out and saying, let's keep going. We've got to standardize. And you'll see that this flows much better, especially when reading from a computer screen. And eventually they all. Now, did each one of them, especially when they were just writing a story for themselves that they'd only be reading and no one else would, did they add their own little twists? Yes, they did.
Hmm.
And God help anyone who went in and grabbed that story on the fly and didn't have a chance to pre-read it and went on the air with a cold because, oops,
Hmm.
they would have a real issue trying to get through it. But yeah, the world is not going to come crashing down. And I have a lot of other things as far as symbolic cultural norms are concerned to me that represent much bigger issues. And yeah, this is it's really not even a distraction. The question is, are symbolic cultural debates distracting from more pressing national issues? Well, there's a debate out there, but it hasn't totally caught fire yet. Who knows? Maybe after tonight it will. But um, and if it's anything like last weekend, it'll be interesting to see the comments.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I don't get it. I don't feel culturally deprived or any less Canadian if I'm, spelling something OR or OUR. It's just whatever flows through the fingertips to the keyboard at that particular point in time. So, with that, our takeaway.
Sometimes the smallest debates reveal the biggest questions about who we are.